Kelly Tapp with Tap Into Real Estate. I have Amber with me. She's the one who's holding the camera.
Hi.
Hi, and then we're gonna go ahead and do the video over because we had such a bad connection. I do apologize, and I thank you all for joining the Facebook Live, but this should be a clearer video of what we really wanted to talk about. So first I wanna go over a couple of questions that could be grouped together. So Angela and Roxy's question about what are the items that you need to get started and what are some tips for first home buyers. So first of all, let's go over what you need. So you want to start collecting your 2 years tax returns, your bank statements, and anything that's reflecting that down payment. And you want to go ahead and talk to a preferred loan officer. Of course, as a real estate agent, we have to have a handful of them to give to you, so I do have that list, and it is up to you to choose who you want to work with, but everyone that we work with is very, very good at what they do, and I understand that there's special things for special clients. So we have Spanish-speaking loan officers, and we have other languages, and we have different types of personalities that kind of fit everybody, so you don't have to worry about that. We got you covered. So next, I want to kind of talk about, aside from the items, is what are the tips. Some tips that I want to throw out there is I want to talk about, feeling like if it's the right time to buy, because I know that's like kind of something that some of our clients have told us when they're going through the process is they get kind of this nerve-wracking feeling, and I know that our friend Danny also posted that question too. When is a good time to buy? So I would say a tip to kind of get started if you're a first-time home buyer is to kind of get all your financials straightened up. If your credit score is low, make sure that you start doing credit repair, trying to raise that credit up, building capital, making sure that you have a separate savings. But again, that loan officer is so essential because they can tell you where you're at now and how much you need to save for. Because if you don't know how much you're saving for, how will you know that you've actually gotten to that goal or how close you are to that goal? I think you're less likely to make frivolous charges if you actually have a specific goal and a specific time period. So we can help you with that. And if you feel more comfortable with me being there at the appointment with you, I don't mind. I do appointments all the time where the loan officer and myself, the real estate agent, or one of my buyer's agents is there with you. So not a problem. We really don't mind doing that. Let us know when you want to sit down. And then some other tips I want to give you other than getting the finances ready is really narrowing down the cities and type of property that you want to buy. So it'll really save you a lot of time if you do a few drive-bys. I know that it's not atypical that our clients find their own properties on Zillow, Realtor.com. We do have the most reliable list, but if that's where you want to start off and start driving the neighborhoods, that'd be a really good place to kind of figure out, can I really live here? Is this a safe place when I drive there during the morning, during the night? Is there enough parking? Checking out the schools. Is it a little too busy because it's too close to the school? Do you like that it's across the street from the school so that your children can walk there? Those are the things that you kind of want to narrow down and think about if it's you by yourself or whether it's like you with, a mixture of multi-generational families where maybe your parents are living there too. Maybe their opinion counts. And if it's you and your husband and your kids, you'll have to have that conversation before you kind of dive in. So I would say that's kind of my tips there. But also, just getting advice from the right people. You have a lot of people talking, there's a lot of controversy, there's a lot of people that call themselves experts, and are they really experts? We really don't know, but you can count on the fact that I am a licensed real estate agent, and I have been doing this for over a decade, and so my advice is going to be weighed a little differently than when you talk to your coworker or your neighbor. So just keep that in mind. Where is that advice coming from? Is it valid? How reliable are they? The validity of the information that you get is really important. It's so specific to the local market that you can't take national news and apply it to a smaller area. And just side note, we do cover Orange County, LA County, and Inland Empire, so just remember that. Actually, that segues to one of our other friends' question about Amber, was it Tom that asked that, or I think one of our other friends was asking if we could help in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was Robbie.
Okay, Robbie, thank you for asking that question. I just want to let you know that we can help you in Colorado. In fact, we're an international company. My company, the market center that I belong to, is number 5 in the world. So that's compared amongst all KW market centers, we're number 5. Here in local Long Beach, we're number 1. And we're number 1 amongst all real estate offices, so not just within Keller Williams. And for Keller Williams offices in California, we're number 1 in all of California. Yes, Northern California and Southern, so hi to all my Northern California friends out there. You can call me too, and I will fly there and help you with your house. And we'll make a trip out of it. So please call me anywhere you're moving, Australia, wherever, we just have our newest market centers in Jamaica. So let me know before you make a real estate move whether I can help you personally or if I can hook you up with someone that's really reliable. I want to be that person to do that for you, okay? So thanks for that question, Robbie. Another thing I want to talk to you about is we had a question from Matt. Is that right, Amber? What was his question?
Yeah, so Matthew asked, if you buy a house to fix and flip and order a home inspection for the buyer, when it passes, is there any liability to the seller if something goes wrong?
That's a great question, Matt. I don't know if you know this, but back in 09 and 08, were the foreclosure era, I actually worked with a great broker that I have a lot of respect for. If he's listening, hello. I learned a lot from him, and I do have that background in my back pocket now, and I can tell you that working with a lot of flippers, it's really black and white, and I understand why you have these questions about the legal aspect of it. It's a very good question, a lot of information that you need to have before you start flipping. One thing I want you to keep in mind is that after the home inspection, are you liable for anything that goes wrong? Well, they have what's called a request for repairs. A request for repairs form is a one-page form where the buyer requests to the seller the items that they want to be fixed. You don't have to fix any of them unless they're a safety issue or a government retrofit item. So are you liable for that? It's up to you. Did your agent disclose that it was as is? And do you feel that it's fair for them to ask for those items? So you do have discretion there, but as far as liability goes, after it closes, it's their property. Usually the way the property is presented is the way the property is sold. Like I said, other than if there's like a major issue like with foundation or plumbing or safety, something like that. But again, it's a conversation, and I don't want people to see two sides of the escrow transaction as a war. We're all working together to get the deal closed, make it fair as possible. So good conversations, good communication from both agents is really, really crucial to make sure that you stay out of court. I over communicate, Everybody knows I'm a little bit too talkative, but it really comes in handy when things go south because I've already communicated the most that I can, and they do what they will with the information that I've provided. And so I think that disclosing everything is very important. And that goes to your second question, which you asked, does it matter if you've lived in this property that you flipped or not? It actually does matter, because when it comes to the form called the SPQ, which is the seller's questionnaire, property questionnaire, basically you have to disclose everything you know about the property. When you don't live in the property, you are able to write, owner did not reside in the subject property, and you can use any terms, but basically you didn't live there. So you are able to kind of opt yourself out of answering certain questions, because some of these questions you would only know if you live there. For instance, like, how would you know if there's a dog barking there every night? You didn't live there, so you wouldn't know that. But if you did live there, that is something you need to disclose. And if anything were to go to court, the SPQ and the TDS are the two forms that the judge looks at the most. So you do, as a seller, want to make sure that you answer truthfully and as thoroughly as possible in those two forms. I hope that answered your question. I know your question was a little bit more legal heavy, but I can go into further detail if you give me a call. So call me anytime, Matt. We can talk about that. I hope a lot of people flip in the past, and I enjoy it. So let's make some money together. Another question that we had came from Eddie, my good friend Eddie. How are you doing? Thank you for engaging with us. You wanted to know if you should refi and then purchase an investment property. To kind of keep things short, because it could be a whole conversation, which I know you and I are going to have coffee, so we'll talk about it. But I want to hook you up with a loan officer, and they're going to be able to do a side-by-side comparison of what it's going to cost you to refi, what the numbers look like, is it worth it to you to refi, or, you know, if you are, because I know that you're so good at what you do, you've gotten so many promotions. Maybe what you have now is enough to go get that income property. Maybe you want to leave the equity alone. Those are things that will only be answered when we put you under the microscope of a very intelligent and experienced loan officer, which I'm more than happy to do for you and with you. So let's go ahead and tackle that together and find you a good income property. I do have a lot of pocket listings. I am at this awesome office, and I know about pocket listings all the time, so we'll talk about it, and I'll send you the list and maybe have a few addresses for you to drive by. So we'll look at that, Eddie. Thank you. What else do we have, Amber?
So we had a question from Daniel, and he's asking, if I'm personally renting, is it smart to buy a vacation home and rent it out?
Okay. Daniel, thank you so much for asking that question, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and kind of answer that question and couple it with a few other people that kind of had the same type of question. So, and I know that it's hard to make that decision when it's your first home, and Roxy and Lindsay had similar questions about what is it like to buy when you're single and you're not married and you don't have someone else to rely on. So a vacation home is a really good option for someone like yourself, because you may want to have that option to go stay there when you're vacationing, because I know a lot of millennials and people your age really do like to kind of take advantage of that quality time and time away from work, because the quality of life is so much more important than being a slave to your job and so forth. So I see why vacation homes are important, but the things that you want to consider before buying a vacation home is, are you willing to put in the time to do an Airbnb? One of my really good friends, she has a Airbnb in another state. She's making very good money. She puts about 10 hours a week into that, aside from her already stressful job, and she says it is worth it. So think about it, 10 hours a week. She's able to kind of go through the Airbnb applications as they come through. Who are they? Are they going to trash your place? Are they good people? Those are the types of things that you have to get ready when, who are your cleaners? Does your cleaners take care of just cleaning, or do they let the guests in? Do you pay them a little bit more? You kind of leverage those things, and that's what makes a good vacation rental. But if you were talking about just a vacation home, which I think is your original question, if you have the luxury of keeping it vacant and using it at your leisure, by all means, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's great. But I also want to just tell you about the other piece of it, because there's so much softwares and new companies that allow you to do so much more with vacant space and kind of capitalize on your investment. So that's definitely something to think about. And that takes me to Lindsay's and Roxy's question, right? Being single, no one to rely on. It's a big question, and I know that it's a hard time to date out there, and if you're with somebody, maybe it's hard to get to that point where he asks you the question, and whatever it may be, and I'm not saying that's specific to you, but in general. So if you have to buy a property before you get married, a few things you want to talk about with the person you're seeing. You want to talk about, how are we going to hold title? Who are we going to use on the loan? Because some people have different credit scores, some are better than others. People get paid differently. So say one spouse has the income, so you qualify for more. The other spouse has the credit. And the other, or maybe the scenario is one person has more of the down payment and the other person has, no capital saved up, but just so much money on paper. So these are things you want to talk about. And then to kind of answer another question about what should you consider when during this situation is, if one person uses FHA and the other person's not on title, when you get married and you want to buy your second house, some people do this. They actually still have the opportunity for the second spouse or partner to use the FHA benefits, which is putting a very low percentage down, 3.5%. So keep that in mind as well. And I strongly encourage all of you single people, and I understand that you may feel alone and that there's no one to help you, or like if something were to go wrong, no one to fall back on. Just go ahead and think about all of the other things that also equate to that feeling of security, right? What about your 401k? What about your CDs? What about a Roth IRA? You know, those are things that can give you that security that you need. So it doesn't have to come in a person, you know? And I understand it's a hard job market. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I think that it's really within your gut feeling and the trust that you have in your ability. I think that you can do it, and I'm more than happy to guide you through the process and make sure that you don't feel alone through the process. But I do encourage it because I have so many success stories where people are buying income property or their own property as a single individual, and when they get married, they're able to sell that or rent that, use it to offset their mortgage or as their down payment. I have plenty of success stories like that. I can think of a handful right now off the top of my mind. Don't want to name any of their names, but you know, I had one young lady buying off of Ocean Boulevard. She made double her money. Now she lives in a house that's almost $800,000. And if you're listening, you know who you are, and you're a huge inspiration. So I thank you for giving me this awesome success story to talk about, because it takes two of us to have the success. So thank you. And thank you for your referrals as well. Another, you know, few single guys, you know, one has a great job and he started off with an income property with his mother. Then he purchased his own property as a single guy, a 3-bedroom all to himself. Another one has a 4-bedroom all to himself. And I know you guys are listening because I saw you guys tune in. So again, thank you so much for all your referrals and for using me as your trusted realtor. And you know, the ones that have gotten married and bought 2 or 3 houses from me, you know, after, you know, buying as a bachelor, then getting married, having their first child, selling that, buying another with their second child. I appreciate you all. Like, thank you so much. But these success stories, I think, should empower those that are looking for properties that are single, because this is not your end all. Your first house is not your retirement home. You have to realize that people are selling and buying, you know, what was before 7 years. Now it's 3 to 4 years at a time. They're starting to, you know, sell their home and purchase their other one. And that's probably one of you calling me right now to try to buy a house or sell a house. But I will call you back right after this important message. So, I truly thank you for all your questions, and Alex, thanks for commenting on our you know, post and home spot. We are going to have more videos. Thank you for your support on Instagram. Thank you for all of your likes and questions. I'm going to have more videos. They will be of better quality than that Facebook Live. I don't know what happened there, so I apologize, but we do have a few videos coming up that is professionally filmed. I have a set for just my clients, and it'll help you walk through the process. So for instance, once you're in escrow, I'll have a video explaining what happens next. And once you've closed, what happens next. So we'll have those types of instructional videos. Of course, you always have access to me and my team for any questions. No question is too big or too small, so ask us. And the other videos will be for you, for everybody that are my potential clients in the future, or even past clients that just need a refresher. I will be giving you more information about the market, more information about different parts of the transaction that you may not understand. So keep us on your, you know, favorites, and tune into our videos and come to our events. And if any of you want to have a Cinco de Mayo drink on me, send me a text today. Let's go have a drink. And our next event will be at Yogurtland, so stay tuned for that, because we're going to have a little ice cream party in the middle of summer on me. So Again, I thank you so much for all your continued support, and I hope you have an amazing Cinco de Mayo, an amazing Friday, and remember, tap into real estate with Kelly Tapp. Thank you.